everybody. We're in the beautiful town of Nelspruit at one of the most respected koi hobbyists in the country, and that is Steve Smith, and his wife and his family have welcomed us to their home to showcase what there is, and for your benefit as well. So mostly what this episode is all about is based on filtration, the do's and don'ts, but more so what we want to do is we want to let you understand what a ProDrum filter system does. What is the latest technology in filtration? What are the advantages of them? So what we want to do is we are going to take you through many discussions and ideas of exactly what we got here, the ProDrum 50 system. This does 50,000 liters, but the ProDrum system per se, we're going to discuss how it functions and how it can best benefit you. For years and years, we've been using older technology, but when it comes to at this level, and if you want to have healthy fish, just to give you a good bird's eye view of what the drum filtration is all about, the latest technology in the world as far as koi keeping is concerned. I'm Kevin Till, KOI Medic. Right, okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to first of all have an introduction on what the ProDrum filter system is all about. We're going to get an overview, how it works, the mechanics of it, the do's and don'ts. Then what we're going to be doing is we're going to go into advanced features of it to understand more in depth how it can benefit each and every one of you. And then of course the most important thing is that, you know, not just listening to what I have to say about the ProDrum filter system, but we're going to be speaking to Steve Smith that has had this system for a couple of years already, and proof in the pudding is listening to what he has to say about the system and if he's happy with the system. And then of course also what he has found has been the benefits and the advantages of having such a system in among his koi ponds, and he has many. Right, okay, we've said that. Now we're going to discuss and understand what is a ProDrum filter system. But before I carry on, I'd like to introduce Steve Smith. Steve, thank you very, very much for your time and showing us these beautiful koi ponds and of course the beautiful fish. For many years you've been involved in koi, and of course you've experimented with many different types of filtration systems. So why is it that the drum filter system has been of benefit to you, and why did you actually go that route?
Well, Kevin, thanks for having me, and look at all the stuff we're having. You know, in today's life, technology is far ahead of us. So when you're keeping koi, you need to remember two things in life. You need to have a mechanical and you need to have a biological. That's where this ProDrum comes in. That's taking all the dirt out of the pond. It's doing the mechanical side and it's doing it all by itself. So it takes all the hard work out of the hard labor by washing some a liner or brushes. So what this thing actually do, it's taking the water in from the pond. It runs into the drum, and when the screen starts to clog up, the unit starts itself, and the drum starts turning, and the spray bar comes on, and it cleans the screen by itself. So I mean, just by doing that, you're spending about 3-4 hours by doing the stuff by hand, by using brushes or matting.
Okay, so let me just have it right. This is a system that's gravity fed.
That's it, yeah.
So what it does is it fills up, and on the inside is a little leveler switch, a float switch.
Yeah.
So you can actually then gauge it, and you can actually modify it according to the height or the, setting it lower depending on how often you want it to
backwash and rinse it by itself.
So am I correct by saying with the gravity feed, the water just keeps coming in, and once it gets to that leveler switch, the float switch, it then will trip, signaling that it needs to be cleaned.
Yeah, that's it.
So am I right that this fine screen will then have all the debris on it as it's rotating, and then once that signal goes, we've got 5 of the spray nozzles.
That's it, yeah.
That as it rotates,
It cleans
then
the screen.
cleans the screen, but as it's washing through right to this side, there's a bowl that is on the inside that is automatically flowing the dirt out as a backwash.
By taking the waste out like a backwash, yeah. That's right, yeah.
Okay. So, what prevents the drum filter from not functioning properly? Is it the level of the gravitation?
You must remember when you install this, you got a gravity feed from the bottom drains.
Yes.
And then by the end of the day, you're going to have electricity to pump the water back to the sump.
Right.
So what is most important when you install this drum is to feed it enough water. So by either installing a bottom drains or have a strong enough pump to feed this drum, so you can get good circulation by the end of the day.
Okay.
And the only time this thing can malfunction if there's not enough water for it. So if everything is in place and you've got feeding it the right amount of water, you won't have any problems. It will only be a pleasure for you to run it in your pond.
And 110 mil pipes, so the more flow,
the
better.
more flow, the better. I mean, you want constantly 24 hours a day, you want to take the waste out of your pond. And by doing that, you keep the water clean. Like we discussed previous, mechanical stage is one stage, biological is another stage. By taking all the waste out by the end of the day, I mean, you're giving the koi the best water like you can.
So the system per se, we're calling this the PRODRUM 50 system.
Yes.
So this, in terms of the screen size itself, not so much the size of the unit itself, but the screen size will then guarantee that 50,000 liters at least will be cleaned on a regular basis.
That's it, yeah. Yeah. The whole thing is designed according to your flow. So that's why you're getting I think the smallest one was a Pro 35, a Pro 50 and a Pro 75. So everything was carefully designed, and see what quantities of water you can push through it. So anything from 25 to 50,000 on this specifically drum can take the water and clean it properly and functionally. That's why it's designed with the right screen, the right internal sizes, and with the jots, nozzles sequence to clean the whole screen.
So it being polypropylene, it's not going to rust.
That's it.
So it will be fine for down the coast region. And as you said, most koi ponds, one needs to medicate every so often with salt, and salt will not perish the system per se.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of the advantage of this is that when the system is in the sunlight, it also won't it won't be damaged by the elements unless there's very, very harsh sunlight.
Yes, that's why I'm saying stainless steel is a very good thing to have if you use the right stainless steel. But for me, this type material is suitable for koi ponds because the algae grows less on it. You can treat chemicals inside it. The product itself can't do any harm if it can come into contact with any chemicals.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And then of course the system per se, with the water level constant at the bottom, fluctuating as we've discussed, with backwash and so forth and cleaning, there's also UV lights that is
That's it, that's sterilizing your water
Yeah.
at the bottom from it, and also helps to keep the drum clean by the end of the day. For a small film bacteria that builds up inside the drum,
Yes.
that's where your UVs comes in handy on that.
And depending on the size, either a 40 watt UV light or an 80 watt.
That's right, yeah. Depends on what size is your pond at the end of the day. So you can
Right.
see for yourself. I mean, this thing is designed to run a small pond as from 10,000 up to 50,000.
Right.
So as long as you pump efficient water into it, either gravity feed, pump feed, this thing will do the job for you by taking out all the solids, the mechanicals. You know, your sewage stuff that you need to get rid of to run a successful pond.
And then of course what drives this drum is a gear, a gearbox
That's right, yeah.
that then slowly rotates.
Yes. As soon as your float switch picks us up that your level went down inside your drum, because remember you got two stages inside your drum. You got your wastewater coming in, that's filling up from inside the drum, and that starts clogging up the screen. So the waste side is always full of water, and where your clean water perforates through the screen is the side where your water level comes up or drops down, and that's where the pressure, the flow switch coming in by activating the gearbox to turn and the pump to clean the drum. So you can set it for 10 minutes, you can set it for 10 seconds, depends on what your pond is considered, how many debris you got in your pond, and you can set it to your own convenience what time you wanted to do it as well.
What's an advantage I find with the ProDrum filter system is that you can modify it, because let's face it, every single koi pond has its own personality and its own water flow process.
That's it.
So that's the advantage here, is it's not a case of this is one system and you got to take it or leave it. You can actually modify it according to
yes,
what your
that's
pond
right.
needs.
That's what I'm saying. You can feed it any amount of water. You can adjust it at any level, and it will do the job for you by getting rid of all your mechanical debris.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you've got many ponds, and I don't even want to begin to count how many beautiful prized koi fish you've got. So it's very important in terms of reliability. From a reliability perspective, what can you say about the drum filter
Well,
system?
it's for me, it's the best invention that is made to us available for running a koi pond. I'm a businessman myself. I'm 10-12 hours a day, I'm not at home. So I rely on this thing, and for the past 5 years, I never look back. You know, this thing is working so good and doing such a great job. There's some days that you think, maybe I'll just go do something, just open a valve, or, you know, you feel you don't do your part because this thing is taking all the work out of you. You know, in the past we used to run brushes, and you got matting inside, and on Saturday you need to take out a spray gun and clean those brushes and clean the mats. The whole Saturday is gone. This thing takes all the hard work out by getting rid of all the waste of the fish. And that's the hard. If you can't get rid of the waste, then you got problems in any koi pond.
It's like we were talking about just now. A koi pond is really a mini sewage system, because of course you've got the fish food in, fish food out, and the process that happens with a normal sewage plant. This obviously eliminates a lot of that, and
24
keeps
hours
your
a day.
quality of your water.
That's it.
And water is life.
Yeah.
So your
That's
fish
it.
will be
As
healthy.
soon as you get rid of all the solids, all the debris, then you haven't got a problem. I mean, then you're giving them the perfect water solution. The thing is made out of fine stainless steel mesh, so it filters the water through. If Kevin can just show us here, for a full micro density screen there. So there's no chance of any solids that can go through to the screen and giving your biologic filtration any solid debris.
So the only other thing that I would think of is that one would every now and again on the controller is to just do a manual, so that these sprays come on, just to check and see that the spray nozzles have not been blocked.
Yeah, I mean,
so
that's
it's practical things like
that's
that.
one
But
thing.
apart from that,
I mean, you can just open the lid and press the button on the test one and see if the drum is activating and how the screens is cleaning, if the UV. It's just by checking. Now you become like a inspector. Just check the drum out and see if all the nozzles is open, and your UV lights is working. So there's no really hard work. It's only like an inspection.
okay.
Yeah.
Anything else that you can tell us with regards to the mechanics of the system per se? I mean, very little of what I can see, very little can go wrong.
It's basically very simple. This thing, the whole drum is built out of stainless steel, except for the tray is also stainless steel, but the whole body is building out of polypropylene.
Yes.
So by the end of the day, you've got a controller, which will show, I think you should already show the viewers, the controller that's the main operating system of this drum. So this thing handles the pump. So when there's a problem coming in, and say for instance you got a blockage on your nozzles, the controller picks up via the flow switch that your water level is very low, and that will cut off the whole system, and it will send your phone an SMS and tell you there's a problem on your system. I mean, what more than you want than that?
So you as a businessman can literally be traveling, and from an app perspective on your phone, you know exactly how healthy your filtration system is.
Exactly. I can see how many times this thing has rinsed. I can see if there's any power failure, and I can see if there's any dry run on my phone. I can actually sit in my office and I can press the rinse button via the SMS function, and the water goes out and it cleans my drum. Yeah. So I mean, there's technology that's making today's life much easier for us than by taking a pressure gun and, you know, cleaning stuff. That's taking the time, and it's a hobby that you want to enjoy. You don't want to work on your hobby. I mean, you got your daytime job, now you must go home and clean brushes and matting. This thing is another level. So if you want to invest in a koi pond, I mean, that's the way to go.
And also, I would think the clearer the water, the less, or the cleaner the water, the less bacteria and fungal infections that you get as well. Of course, with the uvination, that's also in part of the system. You know, it's the right way to go.
This is the heart of your whole koi pond. The moment you pumping any solid, any waste into a biological chamber, then you're going to pick up problems. I mean, it's like any sewage plant that's working, that's feeding our houses with water. They get rid of the solids by cleaning the water. And that's the way to go. That's the way they do it.
Thank you, Steve, for showing us and giving us some tips on this as well. So as you can see that the filtration system, look, you know, as technology is developed, we've had mostly sand filters, and we've moved over to various types of technology. All that we want to do is we want to show you the most advanced, most convenient system that there is today, so that you can make an informed decision, so that you, as Steve has correctly said, not have a second job when you come home and stress. You want to come home to comfort and enjoy your living jewels that are swimming around in the pond, and healthy for that matter. Right, okay, just to show you that the spray nozzle itself, so let's just take it apart. We take it out there, and then just to show you on the inside is a ceramic nozzle itself. We don't use any plastics. It lasts longer, more reliable, and it stays nice and clean. Very, very easy to clean, put it that way. Right, so now it's a very easy clip-in system. And there we go, exactly the same. All you want to do is you want to make sure that the nozzle that you've installed is not this way, but that way. Okay, so basically, just to understand what the UV light does, is it's not above the water, but it is submerged in the water. So how do we do it? Well, first of all, it's got a sleeve. It's got the UV light on the inside, and it's got a quartz sleeve on the outside to protect the UV light. And then, of course, remember, this is all in the water. So this connects, this valve here connects between the outside and the inside. So that would be the system per se. This is inside the water, under the water, and this is protruded outside. And then you have your ballast, and here's the ballast. That is part of it. This part is all outside, and this is all inside and submerged. Now, a critical thing, just to show you that if we have a look under the where the UV light is being installed in, can you see that that is on the outside? But now what's very important is that the UV light, you'll never be able to install it properly if you don't make sure that you have enough clearance so that you can insert it from the side. Otherwise, there's no other way that you'd be able to. So very important to keep that in mind when it comes to your maintenance aspect. But there you can see it's all, on the outside it's all nicely secured, and on the inside under the water is where the UV light is working and not above the water. Just a tip, very important, when you're busy with this UV light and installing especially, do not have too much eye contact because of the severity of the UV light in your eyes. It's similar to arc eye, so just be careful. It's not healthy for your eyes. So basically, just to show you how it gets done, just from a maintenance perspective, is that you connect that together, just slip that in, keep that in place, you slip your sleeve over carefully, don't bend it, connect it that way, and then you tighten your nut. And there's your nut. Tighten your nut. And there you go. Okay, so we finished with the first section of understanding the ProDrum filter system, but don't go away because we're going to go to other installations and have a look at those as well, including some stainless steel ProDrum filter systems. But in the meantime, thank you to Steve Smith and his family for inviting us here in Nelspruit. Hi everybody. Okay, so what we've done is we've gone to Steve Smith in Nelspruit, and we've had a look at the drum filter systems, and we had a look at the fish and had some discussion. So what we want to do is just include it is to show you Carl Erasmus, his fish and beautiful collection and the filtration system. So what the result is that we're having a look now at his beautiful pond. You can see the volume of the pond in excess of 180,000 liters. With a beautiful koi fish that there are. The important thing is that, as we spoke about, when it comes to this level of koi keeping, the important thing is and this is a showcase for the RASMUS Boutique Hotel, and all that come here, visitors, just absolutely enjoy. This is the introduction to the RASMUS, is these beautiful fish. And of course the sound of water, peace and tranquility and all that. The important thing is that when you're at this level and with the fish that are in here at this level of them are really of the best in the country, that you need a proper filtration system. That's the most important thing. And we're going to showcase why the water's so good and why the fish are so healthy. And we're going to have a look at the filtration system. But first and foremost, what I wanted to do is just showcase to you how beautiful the fish are and how nice the water is and how clear the water is. The important thing is that you want the water to be lively, to be breathing, as we've spoken before. And as you can see, lots of oxygen, the flow of the waterfall constantly, and there's movement of water all the time. There's no stagnant water. And of course, this is where big fish or fish get big, because they can exercise a lot. But let's go and have a look now at the filtration system. Okay, so now that we've seen the pond, just to put it all together in terms of the filtration system and how it works. And before we go into the filtration room, just to understand that the ProDrum filter system works on a gravity system. So you don't want it to be too low, because obviously you're going to have an overflow and it's not going to function properly. You can have it a bit higher, but then with a different pumping system. But just to show you how the balance works here, is that the level of this water, the filtration system is at this level underneath. So we're going to go one floor down and then we'll show you what we're talking about. So let's go and have a look. Okay, so now that we're in the pump house, then we can have a look. You got an idea of the level where the water was and where the filtration system is. So what the result is that not everybody, by the way, is going to have a system like this. To be accurate, I spoke about over 180,000 liters. This pond is accurately at 220,000 liters. So just to showcase that what Carl has wanted here is, remember, this is a hotel, and he has wanted pristine, clear, crystal clear water. And he wanted that 24/7 all year around. So what the result is that you up the filtration, and that's why he has gone to the expense that we're going to be showcasing today. The important thing is that, as I said again, is on the ground level now is the level that's important for this system to work adequately. You cannot have 50 mil piping on a system like this. It's got to be 110 mil piping
to get the flow through, because remember, it's gravity fed. So let's go and have a look at a couple of the other areas within the pump house so that you can accurately see how the system has been put together, how professionally it's been done. Right, as you can hear in the background, the Pro 100 system has been installed recently. They used to be the Pro 50s, but now the larger one, and as you can hear, that the nozzles were spraying. I think you're familiar with how the process works now. But leading into your UV lights system, and then on this side is your biological media that is constantly being aerated so that you can have maximum effect. Remember what I said, that when it comes to keeping water like this, think of it as almost like a sewage plant. There needs to be the good bacteria to break down all the bad stuff so that it can go through the system. But that you keep a constant with cleaning water, refreshing water. The Japanese swear by the fact that if you have constant fresh water in your system, then you will have a healthier pond and of course healthier fish. So let's have a look on the other side and have a look at the brains of how the system works. But before we do that, just one thing, have a look at the way that this has been manufactured. Stainless steel, it can also be made in polypropylene, but the stainless steel, the way the finish is off and has been done to perfection. As we said, we're going to now go to the brains of the system, which is the controllers. A very important part of everything. You can have a system like this, but without a controller, you're not going to be able to have the intelligence to understand how the system works. But let's just put it in perspective quickly. We said 220,000 liters capacity. So we've got on the far end, on your right hand side, we've got the Pro 100, and on your left is the Pro 100 as well. So we've got to cater for 200,000 liters, which is adequate for this particular volume of pond. And then, of course, as I said, you've got the UV systems, and you've also got the biomedia that is in here with the air systems that are busy pumping at all stages. If one puts your hand on the stainless steel cover on the outside, you can actually feel the bubbling of what's going on. So now we have an active system, so you understand that we're talking about two separate systems. So let's have a look at the brains of it. And the brains of it is basically a system box like this. So one for each of them, so that they can record history. Carl is also able to dial into the system and is able to find out exactly how the system is working. As you can see, UV lights is working. The system itself is very intelligent. So let me show you. If we want to override this for a moment, I'm going to just push manual and manual for that. So now they are both spraying so that I can check and see that the system is working. At the same time, it would also work on a GSM basis where Carl would be able to, whilst he's away at the moment, he'll be able to dial in and he will be able to see exactly what is happening, the history, how much it has, how many backwashes there's been and so forth, and has there been any trouble. The nice thing is that the controller does everything automated. I mean, you're going to, with a system the size of this, you're going to be possibly having inspecting it yourself for about 3, 4, 5 weeks. But then when it comes to on a regular basis, you need to understand what is going on with the system, and you can't always be checking on this. So that's the whole idea behind it, and the beauty about the ProDrum filter system together with the controller, and that is to make life easier. So wherever he is, he can just go onto his phone and he'll be able to get all the history and know exactly what's going on and then manage it from there. So that is the brains of the system. What's important is, it's pretty obvious, but I'm just mentioning it, is that one controller box for one system. Obviously, because when the other one is backwashing, you know, how's the controller going to be able to disseminate and actually analyze, you know, the different types of information? So one controller for one system. As you can see, the piping and everything that's been done extremely professionally. And you'll notice also that there's no 90-degree bends here. It's all slow bends. The very important thing is, even this piping on the inside has been tapered to such a point before it gets clamped on here that when they glue it together, the flow of the water is not being interrupted. So even the slightest bit on the inside that is causing a cavitation is a no-no. So the piping has to be done by an expert. But all slow bends because it's a gravity-fed system. So the system, I was talking about the pond breathing, the system is breathing properly, allowing the flow of the water. You'll also see that there are many shuttle valves, and that is a contingency plan should something be going wrong. You don't just want the water just to keep running. So you can control it, you can shut it off, that the other system can work whilst you are busy with a repair or a leak or that kind of thing. But the rest, the system flows evenly. I can actually feel the flow of the water very gradual. And that's what it's all about. So it's about the filter system, the media. It's about the piping system. And it's about the brains of the system that can tell you what is wrong. And I highly recommend that have a system that is GSM based so that you are able to intelligently talk to the system.
Please push the notification button and to subscribe as well. Very, very important, so that you can learn from a lot more exciting episodes that lie ahead. Thank you.